So welcome everyone. This is Andrea Huss of soulrealignment.com, and I am here with Lauren Wyatt, and she is going to share a little bit with us about her experience with soul realignment. Lauren, how long have you been practicing soul realignment? I forgot to ask. It's been a while, right?
Wow, a little over a year now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you're really in the thick of it. So tell me what led you into the modality and what actually made you decide to go ahead and really study this modality?
Well, I've been working really hard on myself, going to transformational workshops and studying Reiki and affirmations, and still, like, in my life, I kept just finding myself in kind of these depressing consequences that I didn't really know, like, what I was doing wrong, if you will.
Yeah, what kind of consequences? Do you mind elaborating?
Oh, no, just out of, like, my life would be going really well. Like, I'd be feeling good, I'd be connecting with people, and then all of a sudden I would just go into this depression, and it would just come out of nowhere, and I was thinking, what is this? Like, why does this keep happening to me? And then I would find myself just bending to what other people wanted, and then feeling really resentful about it, and wondering, like, what my motivation was for that, and just not doing what I wanted to do career-wise, being afraid of talking to people about my interests. So I wasn't happy, and I'd been studying universal law, and I was thinking, well, what am I doing wrong? Like, what can and I knew that it was my thought and my emotions, but I really had no idea where they were coming from.
Yeah, so you knew that you were creating it, but you didn't really get, like, how that was working. Like, how am I creating this?
I was just like, what am I doing? And I would go into kind of victim mentality, like, this always happens to me. Why can't I have what I want?
Yeah.
And one day I just, like, I was actually in a workshop, and I learned the same lesson about myself. And it was that I did not trust myself, and that I was not committed to what I stood. I didn't even know what I stood for.
Yeah.
Always kind of grasping, like, I always knew that dreams were important to me, like following your vision and being vulnerable and being authentic, and that love was a huge force for me, and then seeing myself in other people, but I didn't know, like, how that fit together cohesively.
Yeah.
How to, like, be grounded to that.
Yeah, so you had all of this stuff, and at the same time what you were manifesting totally didn't match up to what you knew was important.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, there were some really good times, but it wasn't, I was like, oh, my feelings feel so good right now. But then, practically and tangibly, no, I couldn't really finish projects.
Yeah.
I would procrastinate a lot. I would just...
It's so amazing how we sometimes have two lives, right? Where it's like, here's how we feel and what we know is possible, and then there's what we're doing and what we're actually creating and manifesting at the third dimensional level. So how did you then come across soul realignment? Did you find it online, or did someone recommend it, or how did you find it?
So I one day, after learning that I didn't trust myself and that I wasn't committed to anything and being really frustrated, I'm like, yes, I know, okay, I get it. But
It's like, thanks for the recurring lesson, universe, I got it.
And so I had, like, a good long cry and then some humor, and then I prayed to my angels, and I said, please, I know what the problem is, and I've gone back to my childhood. I thought that I don't know what it is, so please, I'm ready, I'm willing, I want to put this behind me, I want to be free. And then 1 week later, I was surfing the web, and I'm taking, like, a chakra test or something, and I look over, and I see something about soul realignment, the Akashic records, and I don't remember the exact message, but it was like, to me it translated as find out what you've been doing wrong. Like, spiritual, like, and I was just like, okay, I need to check this out. So I'd heard of the Akashic records, like, briefly studied them. It always seemed like, wow, that's for people who are like really spiritual and have it all.
So you thought that was sort of like advanced topic, and I don't get to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm not worthy. That was another story that I had.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. So from there, so had you done any kind of reading work before for anybody? Sounds like you hadn't.
Like in Reiki sessions, I'm very good at like understanding other people's feelings and knowing what they need emotionally.
Yeah.
So people are always like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I don't know how I knew that.
Yeah.
So it would come up during a session or just through talking to some people. Yeah. And they'd be like, wow, I feel better. How did you know that that's like what I needed to hear? And how did you know that that's how I'm feeling? And
but you hadn't formally done any readings or anything?
Like tarot, just for fun.
Yeah, but not for pay or anything?
No
awesome.
Formal. And I wanted to heighten my intuition.
Yeah.
To feel better about myself.
So really, when you took the course, it was really for yourself?
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, well, that would be great if people would buy this. And if I felt good enough about myself to market myself as a healer or psychic, that would be, but that was really on the back burner. It was like me to understand what was holding me back.
Yeah. Well, and that's how a lot of people come to the course. You know, I always joke, it's like once upon a time I tried to market the course as like learn to be a professional psychic, which is when I learned that no one wants to be a professional psychic, which is exactly how I felt about it too, because you know the first time I realized, oh my god, I have to do this work, I was like, oh crap, I don't want to be a psychic. That's like the weirdest job in the world. So it's always funny to me how people come into it for themselves and then at some point realize the possibility of doing this for other people, which is where you've gotten to, right? So tell me what the most impactful thing was that you learned about yourself in the course that helped you.
Oh my gosh. Just how, even though I knew better, I would go into, why are these things happening to me?
Oh, victimization, huh?
Yes, I would do that even though I knew better. So the creator that I created my own world or reality, it's a really beautiful concept that I was trying so desperately hard to grasp. And then just through everything in the course and the way you teach, and then having a reading myself through another practitioner, it all made so much sense why I was struggling with this victimization and feeling like other people were in control of like what happened in my life and how I really had no control. What I realized is that my inner world really like needed to shift. I was the only person who could do that.
Absolutely.
So my choices shaped my circumstances, and it was terrifying, but it was like one day the light bulb went off, and I said, I can stay and do what I'm doing. I'm alive. I'm grateful for this, or I can make another choice.
So talk to me about, you said it was terrifying. What was terrifying about it? Because this is something that very few people will actually acknowledge, and I talk about it, but people never believe me because I don't seem very terrified. But I think you're right. There is a part of transformation that's very terrifying to us. So can you talk a little bit more about that experience?
Well, you know, even though I wasn't happy, like I knew how to deal with my unhappiness. And people around me kind of knew how to deal with me too. And I was afraid that if I started making shifts and changes in my life, then some people might have to go, or they might not like me anymore, or they might think I was a fraud, or just like I thought that my life would change, because before I was very driven by what other people were thinking. So I always try to accommodate other people's needs. This still comes up, of course, but now I'm just more aware of my go-to.
Yeah, so you're so super conscious of this pattern now, so it doesn't have control over you anymore.
No, so I'm just like, okay, what's going, oh, all right, you're afraid that since this person knew you and you were just like a party girl because you didn't want to like talk about your feelings, you're afraid they won't like you or they're going to call you out on how you've changed, even though it's been years and people
hopefully change. Yeah, it's like a good thing, right? Thank God.
Still doing this? Like, wow, you know.
Yeah. So through the modality, you really figured out the root cause of this victimization pattern that you kept repeating? Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it was really hard to hear in the moment, but then once I let go of that, I'm to this day very grateful for the practitioner who gave me such a incredible reading and for this modality.
Yeah.
I had no idea that this type of healing, that this type of awareness existed at this level.
Yeah. So tell me about your work now with your clients, because now you work with your own clients and you are passing it along, right?
Yeah.
So how are their experiences and their transformations?
Well, just recently, I saw a client of mine as I was in Texas, that's where I'm from, and she told me that it was really hard for her to hear what I was saying to her, and then she scolded herself. She said, no, this is what you've been praying for. Just be open. She's let go of 10 pounds.
Wow.
And I asked her about that, and she said, I started just making better choices. I'm taking a Zumba class. I'm caring for myself more, and this came within 3 weeks after getting the readings. She couldn't, she was, her life was completely changed, and now she has plans to lose about 50 more, or let go, sorry.
To release.
50 more pounds.
Yeah.
And she's just feeling really, really good. And this is somebody who gives so much. She's one of my spiritual teachers too. So it was really nice for her to experience this.
Yeah. Well, we all have pieces, I think, for each other, that we have to teach each other. So do you tend to work with your clients in the arena of health a lot, or is whatever comes up?
Usually lately health has been coming up more and more, and I think that's because I healed a lot of my health problems from this.
Yeah. So there were, hang on, wait, tell me about that. Were there health problems that you resolved beyond the depression?
Oh, there was depression that I never got professional counseling for, as I didn't have health insurance. I would go outside of myself to find other ways of, like with yoga and Reiki and these workshops, which I'm so grateful for, that I did that, and then soul realignment. So yes, it helped me so much emotionally, just being grounded in who I am and what I have to offer.
So were there physical, emotional, obviously depression can lead to physical symptoms, so were there also physical symptoms that you've managed to resolve since then?
Well, I've had, I no longer seem to have any symptoms of this, but
nice.
Asthma had been something that I'd been dealing with since I was 2 years old.
Wow.
And horrible, airborne allergies. Just feeling like I couldn't breathe and having to take medication to control the symptoms. And after soul realignment, because I knew, because the affirmation, I've studied Louise Hay, it's safe for me to be in charge of my own life. I choose to be free. That's the affirmation for asthma. And I found out why I was so disempowered
That makes sense.
It just, yeah, I haven't had any symptoms in months now, and I realized it was so psychologically linked and so emotionally linked, and when I calmed that, it just left.
Yeah, it's really interesting how, you know, the energy that we shift at soul level and soul realignment, it filters down into our mental, emotional state, but then it does change our physicality. I mean, I had this thing happen where I went to the dentist, and I have to confess, I'm like terrified of dentistry. I know it's a stupid thing, but I had some bad childhood experiences around that, and every time I would go to the dentist, I would be told, like, you need, you know, you have 3 cavities, you need 2 root canals, and so as a result, of course, I was scared to go. So I literally did not go for 8 years, which is horrible, right? And, you know, it's a sad thing to have to admit. However, I finally went because I was like, all right, this is not congruent to anything in my life. It's time to just get over it. The funny thing was, it's the first time I ever went to the dentist in my life where nothing was wrong.
That's
like
amazing.
Yeah, for 8 years I needed a crown. Like I took it off 8 years, and after 8 years of really not doing anything, I still just needed that same crown. And it was so crazy that I've had these soft teeth that are just very prone to cavities and all this stuff, and gone, done. And it was just such a, yeah, exactly. It was such a weird thing that even the composition of our teeth will change when we step into our purpose and we do our divine work. So I love that you no longer have asthma and allergies because your whole body's energy is different now.
It's awesome. Like, I'm just so grateful I can breathe every day. I want to just be out there with people and connecting, and I'm happy.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, and I'm sure that attracts clients to you also because you have so much joy and light.
Oh, well, thank you. I think it does. People want to know what it is that I'm doing, and when I tell them what I do, they usually come to me to help them find their answers.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do people that have known you when they meet you now, do they comment on how much you've shifted?
Yes. Actually, someone who used to babysit me went to my website, and she wrote me an email saying she'd like to speak with me professionally.
Oh, wow.
Like, wow. And she was somebody I always just adored. So a huge honor and privilege.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, good for you. I'm so excited. That's great. Well, I really so appreciate you sharing your story, because the experiences that you've had, I think it's so important for people to know how much we can resolve, because obviously, I mean, you worked really hard on yourself, and you took like leaps of faith because you were determined to resolve these things, and you took charge of your life and claimed how powerful you are. That's amazing.
It is the best decision I've ever made.
Oh, that is awesome. I so appreciate you talking about this with us. I really do. So I wish you best of luck with your practice, and keep creating amazing transformations for your clients. And I just really wish you all the best. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey. That's really fantastic.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much.